I've already helped 800 people with this. That was mistake number one of three that I made when I was launching my first online course. And I want to share with you what those mistakes are, what to do instead so you can move forward faster, whether or not you've made those mistakes or you're trying to avoid those mistakes altogether. So, mistake number one, not doing enough research because I was overconfident. I thought I knew exactly what it is that I was doing because I had all this experience, right? But the thing that I failed to realize was, hey, there was huge variance in the kinds of clients that I was working with before. I had worked with folks who were making over seven figures, and I had also worked with people who were pre-revenue and they were in these different industries. And essentially, I had a very broad group of people, what marketers call a segment. And there were all these sub-segments or subgroups within that group that I could have sliced and filtered and decided to serve so that I could create a method that's best fit for just them so that they could all have predictable outcomes. With my first launch, it was successful. People bought, they all got these outcomes, but there was variance. There was like all these different outcomes that some people got, built their email list, some people were building courses, some people were growing their service business, and it was a little bit all over the place. Sure, they got value, but I wanted to have like more of a narrow focus on the outcomes that I was creating for everyone. And what that caused was confusion because I was like, I don't know if I should launch this again like this. I'm not too sure because, again, I'm spending a lot of time, answering questions that are all over the place as opposed to being able to answer a question and have it be applicable to everybody inside of the group. So research, knowing, beginning with the end in mind, what set of problems you want to solve and who you want to solve them for and how you want to solve them is the way that you prevent that from happening. And research is the way to do that. Asking enough people the right questions to figure out what value it is that they're wanting, how long they want to take to get that value, what kind of price points they want to pay, etc. Many questions that you can ask in the research phase. So that's mistake number one. With mistake number two, I basically went high tech instead of high touch. And I am a techie through and through. I've got like two laptops here. I've got like a mechanical keyboard that I busted off one of the keys off of and whatnot. Like I can always overcomplicate things and, it's fun, but when it comes to launching for the first time, there's this concept from Silicon Valley that is very applicable here: minimum viable product. And I wanted to give all these amazing features like a learning management software with these nifty features, and essentially that added 3 months because it took me like 2 months to like research it, and then it added extra time in delivering it, getting everything set up. And then when I finally launched it, there was a bunch of confusion with the onboarding for my students, and it led to a disastrous like first call. While I was able to recover from that and help them get outcomes, that was because I focused on being high touch instead of high tech for the rest of the program. And so if you're in a position where you're thinking about launching or you're getting ready to launch the next course, there's a time when you can go more high tech, but not if it's like your first like 5 launches or something like that. You don't really need to like go, that route because you don't also have the level of scale usually that justifies that. So my recommendation, go high touch instead of high tech, not the other way around. Mistake number 3 for me was not deciding in advance what I wanted to have happen next. And basically, I was being reactive instead of proactive when it came to the strategy for my business. What does that actually look like? Basically, after I would launch or after I would go into a delivery phase for my course, the thing that would happen is I'd be confused about what it is that I should do next, and I'd take like 1 or 2 weeks just trying to like figure it out. And every time I had one of those cycles, I'd lose all this time. And I realized that I was reacting instead of being proactive, which is basically another word for leadership. And the way to do that is to use a tool that I call traffic light benchmarks. And if traffic light benchmarks allow you to define the criteria for success, improvement, and failure in advance, and to also define the actions that you will take if that criteria is met. Simple. And For sales, it's pretty straightforward. You've got conversion rate benchmarks. And if you don't hit this conversion rate, then you need to improve the funnel, or you need to improve some other aspect of the sales system that you're using. When you're delivering, that might look like improving some aspect of the course. Or if you hit the success rate for your students that you want to have, or completion rate, then you can then decide, hey, the product is good, and now you're just going to move on from that. If you had those benchmarks for any phase, whether it's research or sales or delivery, then you would know in advance what it is that you need to do, and you wouldn't have downtime. And so with that, like, that would have saved me at least 3 months, or much, much more. And basically, those are the three mistakes that I made, and how much time they cost me. That at least cost me about 9 to 12 months with launching my first course. The way through them, like I mentioned before, mistake number one, research, do research. Mistake number two, go high touch instead of going high tech. And then for number three, you want to have benchmarks that allow you to make decisions in advance so that you don't lose any time. You don't react to the whatever outcome it is that's happened. And if you found this helpful, then let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.